Video update for TMC Transportation. I'm here at the consignee just sitting because I already got unloaded, but I don't want to start my clock. So I found a little place to park at in a little alley. Hopefully they don't kick me out. It's Friday, waiting on a load to go home with. As the advertisement says, this is supposed to be a home on Friday, leave out on Sunday company. So I'm in perfect position to do that. We'll see if that happens. So my last video, I was at Brownsburg in the terminal. My trainer was getting service, and I was getting ready to get out my trainer's truck and start, driving on my own. I was a little over a month ago, so I figured I'd do a video, wait about 30 days or so, and there's really not a lot of time. There's time to do these things, whatever, but I like to do other stuff in my downtime. So, like I said, I try to make the videos in case somebody's thinking about getting into the trucking industry, getting their CDL, or going to TMC Transportation, flatbed, just my general thoughts and overview of, my beginning into this career field. So this is the end of January. It's January 31st. Next month I'm going to stay out. They have a percentage-based, incentive-based performance thing where you stay out for a whole month, and you get a couple points on your percentage, and it should be able to gross you, net you some more money. So I'm gonna get at a try since February is a short month. As far as how things have been going, there's a drastic difference from where I'm at now as far as comfortability with the job and efficiency with the job, as opposed to the last video that I made, which was my first video. So 30 days or 45 days it might be now into being on my own, operating the truck on my own, no trainer, nobody watching over you. It's been a definitely good experience. The training definitely helped, because there's a lot of stuff that in training that I notice, that I remember my trainer saying, or I remember, going through in load securement training, which was also part of training, that comes in, handy and useful as far as, but there's a lot of scenarios and a lot that you're going to encounter out here in the field that didn't happen in training. Like, for instance, I got coils and I didn't get those with my trainer. I've actually got them twice now, and both times it was not just a simple, because most of the places that ship the coils, they're the individuals that go there to get to pick up coils, or the trucking companies or owner operators, or whatever you want to call them. They've been there 100 times. They know exactly what to do, how much dunnage to have out, how many coil racks. They don't tell you anything when you're getting those coils. They just feel like you're supposed to just know these things. There's a lot of aspects of trucking that I notice. One of the things I notice from being out to the truck with my trainer, being that you're dealing more with every aspect of it hands-on, is that everybody assumes that you've been trucking for a while, or that you're experienced driver. Traffic is going to assume that. Nobody's really going to be courteous towards you unless there just happen to be a courteous driver in a car, or they're just mindful, or they might be a trucker, or they might have a family member that's a trucker. But as far as the courteousness, you might get that from a customer, a consignee, because a lot of times, they're used to dealing with truckers, and with TMC, they know that they're bringing in a lot of newer truck drivers into the industry, so they're used to dealing with that more so than some other companies might, that don't get a lot of TMC trucks. If they don't have a lot of TMC drivers coming in there, then they might just assume you're, Joe Blow trucker that's been trucking for 20 years, and you know exactly where to park, exactly how to position your truck, exactly, what to do. So that's, sometimes you have to tell them, I'm new, I've never been here before. That's something that I've been getting better at. What am I getting? Or you might, say, I'm new, I don't know where to go. I don't, some of them will ask you, have you been to this facility? You have to watch a safety video, things of that nature. But as far as the industry, or as far as trucking itself, the different aspects, I mean, it can be broken down into, I mean, you have your job aspect that you're doing, which this is flatbedding, and that's different from other divisions of trucking. That's different from reefer, dry van, tanker. There's other industries. You got guys that haul logs, lumber. You got different aspects. So you have the actual job itself, then you have the actual aspects that don't have nothing to do with the job, like as far as like your downtime, your home time, how that work life balance is. You have like your time when you're at the truck stop, you're getting a shower, getting something to eat. So trucking is like, it's an all day affair. It's time consuming. Nobody should get into this if they don't feel like, being involved in their job almost the whole day. You have a 14-hour clock, and you're going to pretty much use that every day, whether or not you log in all every aspect of what you do. If you fuel, if you're unloading, loading, you might not you might not put that you unloaded for 2-3 hours, because it might only literally took 30 minutes for them to take the product off of your flatbed. But as far as time consuming, that's one thing that I noticed, that this is a time consuming job. I'm in a couple groups on Facebook, like new drivers, new CDL drivers, and TMC trainee / new drivers. And again, I see a lot of comments and questions about, I'm getting ready to, begin this journey. I'm getting ready to try to get my CDL. From what do I study for the pre-trip to, and it's amazing how, I barely remember any of that now. And that was just, a few months ago, and I was doing that every day. But it's just crazy how, you have to adapt to so much in trucking, and it's so time consuming, but yet you're trying to have a balance. You're trying to call the wife or the girl, whoever, the kids, the parents, friends. One thing I noticed too about trucking is, you have your headset or your hands free, talking, driving down the road, so to speak, or when you're not driving, like right now, you're just sitting and waiting on a load. But as far as how much time you get to think about, oh, I got to call my buddy. He called, I might miss 5 calls yesterday, and I didn't get a chance to call any of those individuals back, whether it be telemarketers, whether it be actual calls. I need a oil change on the car back at home. They called about that. I got a dentist appointment. They called about that. Life is going on, and you're, stuck in a realm where your whole day revolves around this, being in here and being at these places. So that's something that you have to really consider and everybody's situation is different. My situation, I don't have any small children, and my situation doesn't require me that, you know, I can pull this off in my situation. Everybody's situation is going to be different. The pros and cons, though, and just I'll go over the cons first. So the cons, in my opinion, before I got my CDL, things that I thought, and then actually, you know, being a truck driver, it doesn't even have nothing to do with this company, because these are standards and norms in the trucking industry. The first con is how much of the time it consumes. That is something that, you know, is a constant battle, because not only, and this is flatbed, so I can imagine, like, I have a buddy that drives reefer, and who started the same time I started driving. Actually, I got two buddies, and one of them is at a company that he doesn't really drive OTR per se, but he does actually go outside of his region, so he does do some OTR. The other one is at a company that's strictly OTR team driving, and so he's driving, you know, miles, and everything is based off of miles. But as far as for flatbed, you know, you're not putting that many miles in, you know, 1,000, 1,500, 1,700, you know. If anybody wants to say that there's more or less miles that can be put in than that, then that's, I mean, I'm just going off of what my statistics, my numbers that I put in every week, you know, between, you know, you're not, if you're trying to get home every week, you're not going to be putting in a lot of miles, because you can't get that far away. So one of the cons with trucking in general, unless you're local, and I see this on group chats a lot, and I see this, you know, being mentioned, is that somebody will want to get their CDL and they'll say, what's the home time like that? That should not be a determining factor, because you're not going to be home that much. Fortunately, like, my wife will ride with me, so that's not an issue for me, you know, that my wife will come with me. Now, as far as other people that have kids, younger children and things like that, or their wife has a job and she has to be there all the time and she can't go with you, then that's going to be an issue for you. But the time that you're going to be away from home, and trucking in general, and even local, because before I had this job, I was driving for like a produce type warehouse. I was doing that, kind of trying to practice, you know, get into the habit or the practice of driving a little bigger vehicle, a straight truck. And I did that for about a month and a half before I came here. And that started at 4:30 in the morning, and I didn't get home till 5:30 in the evening, 6 sometimes. So you're not going to be home a lot in trucking, period, because there's no trucking jobs that's not time consuming. Like on the way up here yesterday, I was coming up, I don't know if it was 199 or 220, the Appalachian North truck route, and I saw probably like 100 sand cans past me and 100 water bottle. I don't know if they were hauling, you know, if they were from the oil fields or fracking fields or whatever you want to call it, but they were the little short bottle shaped type tankers, not the combination ones, but the shorter ones. I passed like 50 of them, you know, at, you know, a convoy of them at 8 p.m., 9 p.m. So either they were just getting back to the terminal, or they were leaving out, you know, so I'm sure they were probably going home, but it was 8, 9 p.m. Like trucking, even if you go local, it's still going to be time consuming. US Foods, Cisco. I've talked to other drivers, you know, and seeing them and things like that. And so one con is the time, because you're not going to have a lot of personal time to do personal things. When you do get home on the weekend, it is going to be, you know, you're going to be treated like a king because you've been gone. Your kids are going to love you. You know, your wife is going to treat you more then from seeing you every single day to now I'm only seeing you 2 days a week. So you're going to get special treatment. You're going to get the 5-star meal. You're going to get everything laid out for you. So that is a good thing as far as the redundancy of being home every day, where people get used to people. But in trucking, where you're away and then you come home, you're treated like you've been gone on a journey for a while. And that's something that is good. It's a good feeling when you get there. But in between that, it's something that everybody's not going to be able to cope with. Another con is, and I mentioned this earlier, is that trucking is based on old, and I won't say old, but it's based on the old school thought process of how the industry was set up and established. So the norms of it are based on that. Like I said, they expect you to know everything when you go into a shipper, exactly what to do. I mean, some places give you directions. Obviously, they give you a map of the plant. They give you this, they give you that, but they're expecting you to pretty much be a experienced driver. They don't feel like, it's an agitation if they have to explain anything to you, basically. And maybe it's just mentally me, but it just makes me feel like, well, how many people are entering the trucking industry? Do you think that everybody that's driving a truck has been driving for 20 years? Another con is part of that time consumption is the appointment times and things like this. Well, they'll set appointments for trucks, but mainly it's on a first come first serve basis, because if somebody has an appointment, like yesterday, a guy had an appointment at 10, mine was at 9, but he went before me because he got there before me. They didn't say, oh, you wait because your appointment. They don't go off of that. Only very strict places that are like, petty go off of that type of stuff. These forklift operators do not care what your paper says, what time that it's saying for you to be there. If you show up like I did today or last night, there's 3 of us here now, probably more coming, but there's one that was here. Then I was here second. He was already unstrapped, basically. So I went after him, and then it was another one that came in after me. It doesn't matter, but it just says before this time. So it's first come, first serve. So appointment times really don't matter. That's an illusion in a it's not something. But where it's a con at is that if you have 20 trucks, that all come in before you, but you have an appointment time at this, where you're going to get skipped over, because most of trucking is first come first serve basis. Another con is about trucking in general and having your CDL is, as far as being, obviously you're living in here, a sleeper, unless you have a day cab, then you're going home every day. But if you're living in a sleeper, then obviously one of the cons is that it's very as far as like hygiene wise, you're not going to have top of the line or availability to showers, to using the bathroom. Just something that simple is a big process when you're in a truck, unless you have a toilet or something like that, which I'm not keeping in my truck. But as far as what I think about, like, it's hard for me because I'm a very clean person or a very hygiene oriented person, and I can't get a shower every day. That's not possible. Somebody might watch this video and say, well, I take showers every day. That's fine. I'm not able to get one every day, because if I had to park here like I did last night, I got a shower at the Pilot Flying J down the road before I got here, but that's because I had the time to do so. If you're running on a schedule and you get coils and they take 4 hours to secure, or 3 hours to secure, and 3 hours to get there, and and all this time starts adding up, you're not going to have time to take a shower. But you're going to be sweating your butt off in the wintertime doing securement. especially if you're messing with chains and stuff like that. Most of the securement is straps, and you're just throwing those, and it's not that, physically involved. But as soon as you have to tarp something with lumber tarps, or get physically involved like that, then you're going to sweat in the wintertime like it was the summertime. So you're not able to keep up with that hygiene aspect, and that bothers me a little bit. You're not able to use the bathroom readily, like somebody sitting in the office that's just going to just walk down the hall and go into the bathroom. You might be, stopping the truck is a big deal. It takes a lot to stop a big truck, literally. Going 70, 60 miles down the highway to get off an exit, that literally takes effort just to get that truck slowed down. Then it takes effort to find the place that the truck is going to be able to fit, which is mainly a rest area or a truck stop. Then you have to either pull into the fuel terminals, which might be jam packed, or find a little side parking, or then you have to actually park for real. So it's a lot of stuff that you have to do. If you're going through residential areas or towns and things like this, then you're not on main highways, then you're really going to be, hit, because where are you stopping at going through a little town where the cars are right there parked over here, over there? There's barely enough room for your truck to get through. You're going through small town USA. You can't just pull over anywhere. Every side street says no trucks. So just using the bathroom is something that like can turn into a problem. Uh, and that's something that people don't think about when they're getting into trucking. It's not something that should deter you from getting into the career itself, but I'm just telling you, one of the cons of it is your personal hygiene and your personal being able to do personally things that your body has no control that you're going to have to do. You're going to have to pull over, or there's no rest area for 40, 50 miles. So you have to just pull over on the shoulder and then pee in a cup or a bottle and then try to merge back on to I-95, unless you're going to just pee on yourself. So like these are things that I didn't think about or didn't put into the equation, when I was like, oh, I'm going to get my CDL and everything's going to be so great. No, there's a lot of hardship in trucking. There's more hardship in trucking. Now, at the same time, when you do get to park and relax and go to a Flying J, Pilot, Love's, TA, wherever, Petro, then yeah, they have the amenities there for you. They have nice showers. They have nice, facilities. They have everything there. And it's another con is that the trucking industry is designed around the concept that everybody is making all this money because everything is so expensive in there. There's deals, there's incentives. You get the app, you get specials, you get, you go on the app and you see, okay, you got, this savings, and, you mainly don't have to pay for showers because you get fuel, and that's going to pay for the shower itself, especially if you get a lot of fuel. But as far as that's a con, as far as your daily routine of what you have to do just to do basic hygiene and handle your basic necessities, you got to do a whole lot just to do something very simple. Even if you get to a shipper, a lot of times they'll have porta potties, which you can pee in those. Doing a number two in them is going to be like, they're not the cleanest of places. So it's like, place I picked up from yesterday, they don't have any bathroom facility, just that porta john. So if you had to use the bathroom like that in an emergency situation, you're going to have to set it up, put some tissue down, and go. Because what are you going to not use the bathroom all day just because of the situation? So probably like construction, which this is very connected to because mainly you're dealing with construction, building materials and things. So it's all tied in as far as like your points of where you're spending your time at, and this is what they have available for you in these places is porta johns and things like that. Another con is other non-truckers. Non-truckers are probably one of the most irritating aspect of the job. Probably 75% of your irritation is going to come from not you, not another truck, but non-truck drivers, passenger vehicles. That's what's going to be the most irritating aspect of the job. Traffic. Driving. Now with flatbed, you also have load securement and things of that nature. But with flatbed, you have that. But just for anybody that has a CDL that's driving a bigger vehicle, there's a lot that you have to do to think for other people. You'll be driving down the highway and it'll be a merge, and a car will come right up. It looks like it disappeared, like it went underneath your car. These things, you don't know if you're going to run over it, or, where did it see you? How could it not? It's just, there's a lot of, which I don't mind having to navigate on a daily basis. But the reason that I'm bringing it up in this nature is that is where the majority, that and the routes that they have set up, it's a con. Trucking, the way that the road system was built, and it's been evolved and all, and they're always doing road construction, but most of the places that flatbeds are going are not designed for a spread axle vehicle to go through, because your turning radius is not like it is in a van trailer or other type of trailer. You parking in a truck stop is not the same. One of the cons of flatbed that you're going to notice is that you're going to see that everybody else can find a parking space, but for you to find a parking space with your spread axle trailer that's going to be for flatbedding, is that you can't do what everybody else can do with your truck. Yes, you have the dump valve, which dumps air out the rear axle so that you'll start pivoting on that front axle of the spreads. But there's still only so much. You can't sit there and do a 360 in the middle of the, and point your ass in exactly where the spot is, like a van trailer can. They can just sit there and spin around until they get the back pointed exactly where they want to get it at. So one of the cons is non-truck related traffic / road system is just not designed for these vehicles. They get through them. I mean, you'll find yourself in a lot of situations where, especially if you miss a turn, miss an exit, you're going to see how good of a driver you are when that happens. Whenever you have to do a U-turn, whenever you have to, or the navigation isn't exactly on point, or the customer directions or the shipper directions are not exactly on point, and you go 5 feet beyond where you were supposed to go, you're going to see how good a driver you are after that. Those are the moments. Yeah, everybody can drive in a straight line and drive up and down the highway and shift gears and all that. We're talking about whenever you get into a situation, and I've been in plenty of them, where you have to do the craziest maneuvers and drive up on stuff, and that's going to happen a lot, especially when you're new. My first 2 weeks, I probably got into so many, especially if you don't have a $500 GPS, you're just starting out in this industry, don't have a lot of money to just throw at GPSs and things like that. So you're going off of, you can't really use a Google and all that, because that's not for a big vehicle. So your clearances aren't going to be right. Your restricted routes aren't going to be right on there. So you kind of have to use the company GPS if you have no other GPS to use, or Trucker Path or something. But you're going to find yourself in those situations, and you're going to see how good of a driver you are. So that's a con. That the road system and other vehicles are not fond of you, nor is it designed for you. You know, you should see even some of these just turns just into plazas and things like that, like Lowe's when you have to deliver there, Home Depot, uh, those type of places. The way that the turn is set up into the plaza, the poles that they have right there, you already see they've been dented, hit, knocked down. It's not designed for you. You're going to go over curves. This isn't your CDL test. If you think that you're never going to hit a curve or have to run your truck over it purposely, you know, I've been to job sites where I had to actually drive over curves, medians, and stuff purposely because this was the only way to get in there. So either you're not going to get in there or you're going to tell them, well, I'm not driving into that. So you need to find a different way for me to get in here. But those are all cons because they're all stressful situations that you have to deal with once you encounter them. Pros, one of the main pros about this job and career, one of the things that is probably number one to me is, as you can see right now since I've been doing this video, I don't have nobody standing over top of me telling me what to do, watching to see what I'm doing. Now, there are some companies that you're going to get into in trucking that are going to have a camera up there, and it's going to be not mainly like watching you all day, but event activated, or I'm sure they can look in it. So you do have that. You do have driver facing cameras. I don't have one in here. And if I did, I really wouldn't care. Because I'm not doing anything that I wouldn't do anyway. I'm going to do me. I'm going to be myself, whether there's a driver facing camera there or not. But there's a lot of things that this company policy, of course, that they're going to say, oh, you're not supposed to do this, you're not supposed to do that. But in real life situations, it's unavoidable to do that. So one of the pros, number one, is that there's nobody standing on top of you telling you what to do, expecting you to do this and that. You're working on your own accord. You're your own boss, even though you work for a company. Because at the end of the day, you dictate how much money you're getting by how you run. Your ceiling is unlimited. If somebody wants to never take a shower, never stop, never go to sleep, never do anything, and just run, and have their whole, world revolve around this job, they can do that. If somebody wants to be chill with it and laid back and not stress if they're going to get here or get there, that you can do that. It's going to affect your money. They're going to send you, whenever you get empty, they're going to send you a load. Whenever you're available, they're going to, obviously you probably have to be producing at a minimum level, but there's nobody standing on top of you. There's nobody saying nothing to you. The only person that's going to say something to you is when something happens. But in the course of a week, I could go, my trainer went a week without talking to his fleet manager. You don't really have a boss per se. Trucking, you're like an individual contractor that's using their equipment. So that aspect of it is beneficial. I'm getting a call. Well, I'll continue with this video at another time.